All right, we are here for another episode of the Unregulated Leadership TV. So we are here live with Erin, who's going to share with us her story about her leadership journey. She is a leader in the community in the fitness world, but also too, I know there's other things that you're passionate about that are outside of fitness that we can get into today. But super excited to have this conversation with you. I'm here with Samantha again. I keep hitting this. And I'm here with Dr. Douglas, Lavanya, and we just want. I mean, it's funny because like the mission of this, podcast is to have like these raw, unfiltered conversations. And I was like, that's just Erin. So we're gonna get so it's truly very honest. So we're looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Thank you.
So I guess we're just gonna start off with you just telling us who you are, your role, what do you want to mention about like. I know that you have an interest in partnership with like the person you run the gym with and all this stuff. So whatever you want to share about yourself.
Interesting. Yeah. So hi, Erin Madore. I actually, as of April 5th, will have been in the fitness industry for 12 years full time. I originally worked in HR for a big corporation, and that was the day I left and started out with all of my certifications and started teaching right away. So I always love April 5th as like a big anniversary in 12 years. It's been incredible. I co-own a fitness studio in Dorchester called Connected Through Strength with two business partners, Stephanie and Kenny. And Kenny is extra special. Actually, on Tuesday, April 1st, it'll be 33 years that we've known each other. And 33 years since I liked him and had a crush on him. And we've been together for 6 years now. So not only are we business partners, but we're also life partners. And we actually live so we're both from Brockton, Massachusetts, very proud. And his old house is here, my old house is here, and we live in the middle. So neither of our families live there, or else we would not live there. But we live right in the middle of where we grew up, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So the studio and then life together is just honestly, we keep saying to each other, we're living the good days. And I think it's really important because I'm really getting away from trying to say I'm busy. When I run into a friend on the street or at the grocery store, I try not to immediately when they ask, how are you, say I'm busy. Instead, I'm like, I'm living I'll say freaking good days. And I think that's really important because we can get so caught up in, being a brick and mortar fitness studio owner for 6 years is hard. It's a lot of hard work. It's like having a baby, and it's having a lot of people rely on you 24/7. And even though we've come up with like systems and processes and it's gotten a lot more streamlined and a little bit more smooth, it's still a lot. But at the same point, I keep telling people, I'm like, I'm not a rocket scientist, or I'm not curing cancer, and I'm not saving people in or like it's a fitness studio. And if I can't live that sense of peace and ease that I try to encourage my clients and my yoga students, then what am I doing? I can censor myself. Thank you.
And so like it's interesting because you go from the corporate world and you completely do a 180. You're doing something completely different, and even with your new career, even that has had its own like share of peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
So what can you share with us that has been some of like may to other people may seem like failures, but also at the same time has given you what you needed to be the leader you are today?
Oof. All right. I'll try not to cry. So Darcel and I go way back. And you actually you did your headshots, right, at my old house? Yeah. So I owned a fitness studio called Savin Hill Fitness Studio before COVID.
Yeah,
and it was in my basement with my cats. My cats were there. They got headshots as well. But I had always wanted to own my own fitness studio. And about 7 or so years ago, started really adamantly looking for a space. I was living in Dorchester with my now ex-husband, and hashtag divorce. And he was very supportive, though it was great. And I looked all over, and I lived in Savin Hill, which is a very small, cute neighborhood. And I found a spot And long story short, that spot didn't work. It's actually now Ghost Pepper, which is a great place I go and get margaritas. But I ended up essentially getting the spot next door and working with two silent partners, which was incredible. And they essentially gave me the investment and the opportunity in this space to open my dream studio. And Darcel is one of our amazing team members. And essentially, I was able to build it from scratch, choose every single tile, choose absolutely everything. And it was beautiful. I loved it. And then unfortunately, 7-8 months after we opened, COVID happened. And then we made it for another 8 or 9 months and unfortunately closed. But everyone in the community loved us, so we were able to find a spot literally across the street, right downstairs. So from our current spot, which we've been now connected through Strength for over 4 years. We had our anniversary in January, and it's kind of perfect. We're doing this right between all these big milestones. And if you look out our door, you can see my old studio, which I will say was bigger, had showers, which was really nice, but I love our new space. And after losing the studio during COVID and losing other studios like South Boston Yoga, run by David and Todd, they're huge role models of mine and really good friends, and so many other businesses, not just fitness, but knowing so much loss. And I know COVID impacted everyone in many different ways, but honestly, my biggest thing is struggling with fear and scarcity as a result of that. And obviously, Darcel knows, I went through a lot to open Savin Hill. There were strikes going on. We couldn't get electricity. It was wild. I was on the news a bunch trying to fight to keep to open my studio and then to keep it open during COVID. And I feel like a lot of people didn't realize, but after losing Savin Hill for the last few years, I've really struggled with fear and not letting that rule my mind and really impact my decisions and my actions. Because anytime, say I lose a client and say it's just because they move or they can't afford us anymore or their schedule changes, it's immediately my brain's I'm going to lose the studio. We're going to close. I'm going to have to start all over again. And it's gotten better. I have a therapist, thankfully. I actually loved your comment in the last one about therapy. But I feel like that's been an ongoing failure and reaction and impact from that I've had to learn and grow from. And I think it's a personal thing too. I think a lot of us deal with fear on an everyday basis, and it can be a very positive, inspiring thing, but too much of it or letting it rule and letting it be forefront, I think is detrimental to success and to peace and ease and connection. Because those days when I'm feeling the fear, I've learned to step away and stop myself. But in the past, sometimes I spiral and then it ruins those connections and it ruins those opportunities. And I think that's the biggest, I've been thinking about it since you emailed me, the biggest thing that I struggle with, but thankfully have found ways to manage. So that was a long answer.
No.
Okay.
It's interesting you said that, because I think when you see you and when people see you in your studio, that doesn't translate at all. You come off, you're very positive, you're very open, and you're always oh, it's okay, so I'm very lucky that Erin even talks to me. My daughter scribbled on her calendar at the gym, and I was mortified. I was she didn't even know she was going to be here, and I was just
You're fine.
it was a permanent
We
marker.
love
I
you.
couldn't get it out. It's horrible.
You're incredible.
Again, Erin's oh, it's fine. I'm I ruined your
No. We don't care. Yeah. All good.
So it's just interesting that you said that you don't I think that's the purpose of this season, is that as someone who was on your team, you never showed that at all to us. I would have never guessed that you dealt with the fear of losing in the studio or what would happen to your business.
I should probably share that more. Well, especially I think you bring up a good point, especially this whole podcast and your passion and your purpose of being real and being authentic. And I think it's hard sometimes as a leader, especially we have a thing, especially nowadays with everything going on in our country, I'll say, we don't talk about anything negative at the studio. We save that maybe for book club, or we have women's gatherings where we write postcards that are going to go out and hopefully save women's rights and save other rights. But we try during sessions and classes to keep the space really positive, because we know we are providing people with that third space and that safe space to get away from doom scrolling and the news and all of that. So I think it's hard sometimes for me to be vulnerable and open about fear and worry and scarcity mindset, when at the same time I'm trying so hard to provide a space that doesn't have those things. Because for the 1 hour that you come to the studio, I want you to feel free from all of that. And I want you to feel really good about what you're doing for yourself. And I think, all right, I'm going to have to share a little more. Maybe I write a newsletter. Yeah. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Thank you.
What are you doing for yourself then?
Ooh.
Because you're not letting it out at the studio. You have like the face of the leader. So what are you doing for yourself?
I rely on yoga. If you see me in yoga, there's like this whole type of, what kind of yogi are you? I'm a camper. I have like my little notebook. I bring all my things so I can like journal during a yoga class, and I'm always at the back so I try not to distract. But yoga is like a huge piece. I go every week, and it's really not just like a good workout and a good way to feel in your body, but a good way to process what you're feeling. I just started back up with a therapist. I think everyone should have one. We should all get one right from birth. And honestly, it's great to be on your podcast, because I just started my own podcast. So it's called Push-Ups and Cocktails. And actually on my last episode, I make a cocktail. So if you want to learn how I make my very favorite old fashions with Uncle Nearest, then you can check it out. But I feel like that's been a great creative outlet for me, because honestly, Kenny was like, you need to talk to someone else. You need to share all of these feelings and thoughts and ideas with someone other than me. And I was like, I'll start a podcast. So episode 4 so far.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. A little, plug in there.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Thank you.